Welcome to another episode of Can I Retire? My name's Tony Hansman, and I'm a financial advisor with Guardian Financial. We help people with retirement planning, taking care of their income needs so they never outlive their money, making sure that they're in the right portfolios, making sure that they pay the least amount in taxes, maximize their Social Security, all of those great things going into retirement. And today I have another hypothetical case for you to bring you value and tips and things to think about, so let's dive right into it. I've got Justin and Jessica, hypothetical. They're currently both age 55 and they think they want to retire at 65 in 10 years from now. I've got them living both to age 90. Now, that's the bare minimum when we're doing planning that I like to see. Maybe we go out to 95, go all the way out to 100 sometimes, just depending on everybody's situation. I'm going to come down here, I'm going to click the next button, and we're going to take a look at both of their needs, wants, and wishes. So you can take a look at the needs that they have at retirement in 10 years from now is about $65,000. In this hypothetical case, they say, Tony, I think that $65,000 is what we want to have for the rest of our lives. So we've got some inflation in there, so $65,000 in today's dollars is obviously going to be more than that in the future. Their wants, they need a couple cars, right? They buy cars about every 10 years or so, and then they want to do some traveling or under the wishes section. So now let's go ahead and jump over to their total assets and take a look at what that looks like to set this case up. So now we're on Justin and Jessica's investment assets, their liquid assets. Let's see what this looks like. Currently, we can see that Jessica has a 401k of about $100,000, and she's putting about $5,000 into that account each year. Justin has $125,000, contributing $6,000 into that. And then they have a joint account. This could be checking, savings, money market, CD, something at the bank, about $25,000 of after-tax money. But one thing, big value I want to bring to you here today is it's very common that people in their 401ks, they'll start with their company, maybe they throw it into a target fund, or maybe they see something that's some Morningstar 5-star rated an account, and they'll throw it in there, and then they never look at it again. Years go by and they've never rebalanced this thing. They've never taken a look at where their investment should be at. That's one big no-no. The other big thing is that it's common that people are overfunding their 401k. What do I mean by that? It's common, let's say, that a company will say, we'll match up to 3%. So if you put in 3% and they put in 3%, that's the full match. But in this scenario, we'll say that they're overfunding it. They're both putting in 10%, and I'd like to see at least consider the option of maybe redirecting some of those dollars into other tax-free places. It's not for everybody, but it could possibly make sense. So these are the liquid assets of about $250,000. If I scroll down on my screen, you can see I threw in another asset of $300,000. This represents their house that they have, the value of their home. We'll throw in a little appreciation there that they'd like to see. And if I come down on that house, you'll see in the liability section that they have about $100,000 of liability on that home for a total net worth of about $450,000. So now let's jump over to their current scenario and see what their probability of success looks like. So here we are on Justin and Jessica's current scenario. And you can see I have this Run 1000 trials. And we're going to click this button now, and it's going to show us a different sequence of returns. It's a Monte Carlo scenario, and it simply says most softwares are, a return of 5%, 5%, 5%. It's consistent every single year. But here, this gives us this sequence of returns of maybe a scenario of trial one would be maybe 1 year we're up 10%, and then we're down 5%. Then maybe 1 year we're up 8%, and then down 2%. So it gives us 1,000 different probabilities of going into retirement, and then to make sure our probability of success shows, will we outlive our money or not? So you can see they've got a score here of 39. This is not a good score, but this is the importance of value of this particular video, is that since they're 55 years of age and they don't want to retire for about another 10 years, and I don't care if you're 1 year away from retirement or 10 years away from retirement, the earlier that you can understand your probability of success on your retirement score, the better off that you will be. I like surprises on my birthday, but not in my financial plan, and it's very important that you understand your risk score. So you can see this score of 39 is way below the confidence zone. I really want to get them up to this green zone that's in the confidence zone. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click this next button and take a look at the recommended scenario. And while we click and this isn't popping up, it's very common that people are in the wrong portfolios. So in this particular case, I set this up that They picked out maybe in their 401k some target fund and they haven't looked at it for a number of years. They haven't rebalanced it. It no longer aligns with their risk tolerance or their investment objectives. So all I did in this first step is I simply aligned their risk tolerance with a new portfolio, and that took them to the 30% all the way up to a 59% of probability of success. Is that a good score? Not in my opinion. Is it better? Yes, we're moving in the right direction. So I'm going to come down here, I'm going to hit this play zone option, and we're going to start analyzing and see how can we tweak these numbers just a little bit to continue to get this score up into at least the green zone, the confident zone, and maybe even higher than that into the above confident zone. So here we've got Justin and Jessica's age of when they want to retire. We said 65 years of age, right? Well, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. We're going to let the software kind of show them what they need to do to increase this current score of 59. Again, remember, we want to get them at least into the green zone. So I hate to ask it, but let's just throw the truth out here and ask Justin to work one more year. What does that do to the score? Keep your eye on this number right here as we move this up to 66, and we go from 59 up to 67. Not yet quite in the green zone yet, but we're moving in the right direction. Now, we're certainly not going to ask Jessica to work anymore. That we don't want to get her on our bad side, right? So we're going to ask Justin to work one more year. We're going to take him to 67 years of age. Let the software recalculate it and take a look, and we jump up into a 70 for a 4% score. We're now in the green zone. Things are looking a little bit better here. Do I want to ask him to work 2 more years longer? No. But does it give him the option to start to show him what his family needs to be thinking about it doing? Let him choose to pick? That's the idea. That's the value that I want to bring to you today. And we all know common sense. If we work longer, we're obviously our scores are probably going to go up. Maybe if we cut our expenses too, the probability of success is going to go up. So let's look at that next. They said our needs were $65,000 to get a score of 74, and he's working 2 years longer. Let's just ask him to cut his expenses by a couple $100 a month and take him to $63,000 for yearly living expenses. Now remember, this is going to have some cost of inflation here that's going to grow along the way, but he jumps up into an 81, and yay, we're finally into the green zone, right where we want to be. So now I can scroll down and I can ask Justin. I say, hey, Justin, do you want to maybe reduce your wants, maybe a $30,000 car? Who knows what that can buy these days? Do we need to reduce that a little bit? He says, no, Tony, that's kind of the bottom end. We like heating and air conditioning in the car and the hubcaps and stuff. We definitely are not spending anything less than that. I said, all right, well, what about your wishes, your travel? He's like, no, we worked our whole life. Man, I'm definitely dedicated. That's what we want to spend per year for retirement, whether it's a full $6,000 trip in one time or it's $500 a month or however they spend that money, but they're not changing that. So I said, all right, well, let's come down here to our savings tab and let's just see what it looks like. If I have to ask you, let's just say $5,000. What if we save an extra $5,000? What is that going to look like to our score of 81% currently? And that's going to jump us up to an 87%. So obviously, you can see knowing these numbers and juggling them early, you don't want to be doing this when you're less than 1 year away from retirement. The earlier that you do it and you're readjusting your score, you're meeting with your advisor minimum one time a year, maybe a couple times a year, and adjusting things so you know that you're on track. We measure everything in life by scores. Every sporting event has a score. We always know at the end of the game who the winner and who the loser is in every sporting event. But it amazes me how people don't have a retirement score. How do you know how you're doing and what you should be doing? So to summarize, is to give you some options here, is we want to make sure that you understand that a lot of people go to a target funds in their 401k and then they never look at them again. You should need to be taking a look at those a minimum one time a year. Don't just set it and forget it. That's super important. Think about, are you overfunding your 401k? Look at maybe repositioning some of that money into some tax-free places, or make sure that you're at least matching up to the company match. You don't want to be giving away free dollars. And then make sure you understand and you have someone who's giving you your retirement score so you always know where you're at in the game of retirement or near retirement. So I hope this was valuable. I hope you got a lot of information at this. If we can ever be of help, reach out to us. And as always, remember to reach out to a licensed professional who understands your specific goals and dreams.